It's a very real and practical lesson taught by the Torah in our Parsha, and it's a lesson that is really applicable for everyday life. It's a lesson about conflict and how we are to deal with conflict. The Parsha itself is all about conflict. It's about Korach. Korach was this individual who had a conflict with Moshe and Aaron, and Korach brought other people along with him. It wasn't just about him and Moshe, but he brought other people to support his opinion as he tried to rebel against the leadership of Moshe. Who were these other people? So many of them were leaders in the community. They were people who were respected. They were Anshe Shem. And there were also individuals who were very notable in the community. Some of them were notable as people who had been involved in machlokas and conflict before. Most notably were two individuals by the name of Dasan and Aviram. The pasuk tells us that Vayishlach Moshe likro lidasan v'Aviram, that Moshe sent to call for Dasan and Aviram, for these two individuals, and the response was Vayomru lo na'aleh. They said, "We will not go. We're not going to go to speak to Moshe." Rashi tells us, brings from the Gemara in Sanhedrin, that Moshe's calling Dasan and Aviram teaches us a very important lesson. Rashi says the words "Ein machzikim b'machlokes." A core Jewish value, a Torah value, is that we don't sit in conflict, but that we attempt to resolve conflict. And what that means is that when we are in conflict with an individual, we don't sit and allow things just to fester, but we ask the individual to come and sit with us so that we can speak face to face in order to attempt to resolve the conflict. Now here, for example, Moshe tried to resolve the conflict with Dasan and Aviram, but they weren't interested. So as long as we try, as long as we attempt, that's what's important. But keep in mind that these two individuals, to Moshe on a personal level, had a lot of meaning, a lot of significance. Moshe was tormented by these two individuals very long ago. Right before Moshe first became notable among the Jewish people, Moshe went out to see his brethren and saw this Mitzri who was beating up this Jew. So what did Moshe do to him? Moshe killed this Mitzri, he killed this Egyptian. And then we are told that when Moshe sees two Jews fighting the next day, he says to them, "Why are you hitting each other?" And they respond and say, "Are you going to do to us like what you did to the Mitzri?" And the pasuk says at that time that Moshe realized that what he did was seen by other people, and he ran off. So these two individuals, Dasan and Aviram, were the ones who said that to Moshe. They caused Moshe to run away from Egypt, to run into Midian, go in to be on the run, live life as being on the run, being sought after by Paro, and obviously caused a great amount of pain to Moshe as an individual. Ultimately, if they didn't make Moshe run, then history wouldn't have changed, and Moshe would not have been able to be at the place where he was, where Hashem first encountered him, brought him on to the team, and also, of course, where he met his wife Tzipporah. So it's funny how fate ends up working. But nevertheless, these two individuals, Dasan and Aviram, represented some very difficult moments in the history of Moshe Rabbeinu. And yet, through all that they represented, Moshe still attempted to try to resolve conflict with them. He still wanted to sit down and talk to them. And the explanation by the Ksav Sofer is that we see how great and how important it is to be able to attempt to resolve conflict. And we should learn from there a lesson for our own lives. Even when we argue, we have disagreements with people, and we may feel to a certain degree by just staying away from them, not having anything to do with them, but yet the anger between us still very much festering and alive. It's important for us to swallow some pride and to say, let's sit down and try to figure out a way that we can make things work, and that we'll all be happy, whether we have much to do with the person or we don't have much to do with the person. Nevertheless, at least not being at a point of conflict, at least being resolved to go our own separate ways. I think it's a lesson that is very much applicable to all of our lives at some point, and I hope that we learn this lesson from Korach and that we pursue peace like Moshe Rabbeinu. Thank you for listening, and good Shabbos.